Go ahead, Benny.
I can't wait for this segment. I've been looking forward to this probably all summer. Now, Uconn football, as Dib said, 50 days? 50 days or less, right around the corner. We got CCSU versus Uconn, August 30th. It's going to be at the Rent. It's kind of like Connecticut's celebration of football beginning here in this state. And Moore had a pretty decent year last year, man. 9-4 with the bowl game to boot, and beating North Carolina in Fenway Park. Like, vibes should be high, but the roster continues to change in all of college football. I think we know the roster completely right now. Hopefully there's no additions or subtractions. Fingers crossed, but we're about to hit camp. And we got Adam Giardino in studio, who roams the sidelines for all the Uconn football. He knows this program inside and out. And I know he knows we have some electricity on the sidelines for both guys. So it is time for Adam Giardino's top 5 Uconn football players who will be exciting to watch in 2025. Number 5.
All right, so I'm going with this is a name that obviously Uconn fans know about, and I'm going with him for a very specific reason. It's Victor Rosa. Not an exciting name, a guy that burst onto the scene with double-digit touchdowns as a true freshman, local kid from Bristol. Everyone was so excited about Rosa as a freshman. That was a couple of years ago. And last year, there was a lot of head-scratching around Rosa, who was injured.
Why isn't he playing? Why didn't they give him the ball? What's going on?
And it was very hush-hush within the program. He had a hand-finger surgery early in the season, played through it, tried to work his way. Ended up playing 5 games, which got him the red shirt. He played 4 games in the regular season and then played in the bowl game. All told, he carried the ball 16 times. The reason why he is on this list is not because they are looking for him to be what he was as a freshman, where he scored double-digit touchdowns, but he is going to need to replace Darrell Robinson.
Yeah.
And Mel Brown, Cam Edwards are both back. Those two guys combined for 1,500 yards on the ground last year. And the key with this is last year, the success of the Uconn offense was that Edwards, Brown, and Darrell Robinson all carried the ball 100-plus times. Cam Edwards, rather, carried it 146 times. So there was a 3-headed timeshare in the backfield, really going into every week. You didn't know who was going to be that guy that day. They rode a hot hand, and when you got 3 talented running backs, you're able to do that. So for me, Victor Rosa needs to step in, baseline, carry the ball 100 times, baseline, run for 700 yards. And if he does that, this offense will not take a step back. This was the best offensive football team Uconn's had in over a decade. And so to be able to provide just 100 carries, somewhere in the neighborhood of 700 yards, that is going to be foundational for whatever Uconn's offense is going to do above and beyond that.
I'm glad you got this guy on the list, because the number 22 jerseys that you see at the tailgate after his freshman year is the most pub that you get for any football player.
Hometown kid.
Bristol Central. Watching him in high school, he was a return man as well, and he caught a lot of balls for Bristol as well, just taking the ball to the house. The guy has a nose for the end zone. He just does. I can't put my finger on it, but he just does. And all 3 guys that you mentioned,
Mel Brown,
sorry. I always mix on Mel Brown's name. Mel Brown and Cam Edwards.
Yep.
Great running the football, but all 3 of those guys need to catch the ball better out of the backfield.
Yeah, and Darrell Robinson's going to be missed. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, definitely.
That he's a guy that who just really opened some eyes with what he was able to do in the backfield last year. He's on to the SEC, so certainly we'll keep an eye on
Auburn.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on what he did, what he does down in the SEC this year. Certainly no ill will towards Darrell Robinson. He came in, and what an impact in just 1 year.
But you love Victor Rosa, Dibs. I mean, he's your guy.
And I agree with Ben. This guy has a knack for getting in the end zone.
Yeah.
He has a knack for third down, big rushes.
Yep.
So that's the kind of guy, if he's healthy, I think that Moore Jr. still goes with him. But like you said, these other guys, they came in and they did the job, and it helped UConn have one of their best years in a long time.
Number 4.
Boring pick as well. Quarterback Joe Fagnano. We talked about this. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. And Fagnano, a year ago, 20 touchdowns to 4 interceptions in 10 games. That's a game manager. if he is able to,
which Kurt says is a good thing, and I'm agreeing with Kurt. We had this argument all the time about Fagnano being a game manager. It's like, what's wrong with that? He doesn't turn the ball over and doesn't lose the game.
correct, in 7 games against opponents that weren't Merrimack, UMass, and Temple, teams that combined to go 10-25 last year, he averaged only 7 yards per attempt, which is 3 yards less per attempt than he averaged in those other games. So for me, it's just a matter of him finding a way to make this passing game more dynamic. As good as the Uconn offense was last year as a whole, this is still a team that, if they had lost a couple of games last year in some of these one-possession games where you go, man, a more dynamic offense, a more explosive offense could have been the difference in this game. And that is, to win 9 games, to do what they did, it was such a refreshing season for this program. But there is still one more rung on the ladder to climb in terms of the eye test, in terms of striking fear into the opponent's defense. And UConn's pass game, even with a Skylar Bell, doesn't really strike fear into your opponent. So for me, finding a way for Fagnano to open the purse strings just a little bit more and say, 20 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, good, but maybe 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions would be even better. Yeah, we're going to throw a couple more picks. You're going to take some more chances, but you're going to open up with some bigger plays and trust that your defense doesn't need to play perfectly on the other side as long as the offense is going out and having fun.
Sounds like you got him as the starting quarterback.
I do. I don't think he comes back for a 6th year if he's not being told that you're the leader in the clubhouse.
Wow.
That's my gut. That's my gut.
I don't know if you've got these guys on your top 5, but you got a couple of huge offensive linemen coming in, including Ty Chan out of Lowell, Massachusetts.
Yep.
Played at Notre Dame last year. He's a redshirt junior. 6'5", 320. Do you think the O-line will be better this year?
I think the O-line is going to be as good. It's really hard to replace, some of the talent that they had on the outside. Chase Lunt specifically, and a guy that played, just every down of seemingly every season that he was on campus. But I think what UConn has done with Christian Haynes, with Chase Lunt, for all that we can say that, through the air, you're not really scaring any defenses, but you're creating a program where it incentivizes offensive linemen to come in and show their chops and say, hey, Notre Dame transfer, come on in. You're going to block a ton on the ground. We're going to run the ball 350 times this year. So come on in, make yourself into a 4th-round pick in the NFL draft and go make some money. And I think that we're seeing a lot of that, where there are some openings on this offensive line after some really talented players move on. And that's interesting for some of these, higher leverage transfers to come in and earn an NFL contract.
Well, Samaris Walker's coming in, 6'3", 320 out of Maryland. We got another kid. Let me get his name real quick for you. Hayden Bozich coming out of Brown, 6'7", 315. Going to be a smart kid coming in as a junior out of Steubenville, Ohio.
If nobody blocks for Joe Fagnano, he's not going to be electric whatsoever. Has to have some time to breathe.
Got to have protection
in order to make that offense go. Number 3.
Guy that really got better as the year went on, and somebody that, I don't pretend to be an expert in the defensive backfield, but I'll defer to Ronte Jones, who said that Cam Chadwick is the heir apparent in the defensive backfield for UConn. And this is a guy who had 3.5 tackles for loss. He had a 20-yard interception return, forced a fumble. He ended up finishing top 10 on the team in tackles with 47. There are vacancies in this defensive backfield, specifically where Ronte Jones leaves a vacuum. And so for me, Cam Chadwick is somebody who's going to have an opportunity to be a true star back there for UConn, and somebody that maybe it's not him, but it's defensive back X, who there has to be a defensive back that steps up. And I think there are a lot of guys in there that are capable of this, with Malachi McClain, who's got a year left. Yeah, Damon Brinson, Cam Chadwick. There are guys that are returning that are going to be familiar, that are going to be able to bring some of these guys along with them without a Ronte Jones, without a Malik Dixon-Williams, names that we've become familiar with. Someone's going to have to make these plays, and I really think that, without trying to pretend to be the expert, I'll, again, defer to a guy who lived it for the last 4 years. And so if Ronte Jones is telling me that Cam Chadwick's the real deal, I believe he's the real deal.
It would work out great, too, if we don't get any targeting calls from our defensive backfield and get them out for games in the future. That would be great if that doesn't happen. Number 2.
Shamar Porter, who coming out of high school, chose Kentucky over Tennessee, Georgia, and Ole Miss. And when you've got 4 SEC schools fighting for you, you're pretty good 2 years ago. Well, he didn't play. He played just a single game for Kentucky as a freshman, then came to Uconn and took a back seat in a lot of situations to TJ Sheffield and to Skylar Bell in the wide receiver spot. And for me, Shamar Porter flashed at times. He only had 6 catches last year, which when I went back and I had to double check that number. I was shocked that there was only one game that he had multiple catches in, but he had a couple of 30-yard touchdown grabs, one against Merrimack, one against Florida Atlantic. And this is just somebody who, if you in a perfect world, TJ Sheffield was that great second cast member to Skylar Bell in the wide receiving core, just in terms of consistency. And so I think UConn still needs to find that consistent number 2 wide receiver. But if Porter can be a third guy who, from the slot position, threatens for 25, 30-yard catches, that can change the posture of this offense. And I was doing a little digging in terms of talking to people within the program, and one of the transfers I was most excited about was Caleb Burton III. He was a transfer in from Auburn, played a couple of years there, arrived in the spring. He is no longer with the program. So Caleb Burton, who is perhaps the biggest name on the transfer market, is not a UConn Husky. And also Josiah Gavings, who last year showed some pretty good stuff at the wide receiver position, really being that third option. He was third on the team with 32 catches, 300 yards. Not only is he not with UConn, if you check out his social media, said, he just is nowhere at the moment. And I confirmed that he has not signed anywhere.
Wow.
So,
what's going on?
Yeah, so it's again, things happen behind the scenes, and you just don't know what's what. But there are opportunities where Skylar Bell is your absolute number 1 guy in the pass game, and Shamar Porter might be your number 2, even if he only did have 6 catches last year.
So does that make Skylar Bell your number 1 most exciting player to watch in 2025?
No, we know what Skylar Bell is going to bring. He's going to bring you 800 yards, 5 touchdowns. We got a big old gap in the linebacking core, and Tyquan King coming in from Temple, 111 total tackles. He had 1 forced fumble last year, Ben. It was against UConn. He had 15 stops against UConn. That was a career high. He came back to the Rent as a Connecticut kid, and Temple had no business being in the game against UConn. They were 1 yard away from perhaps altering the entire course of UConn's season, and it was to no fault of King roaming at center linebacker. He was unbelievable in that game, and I'm sure if there was any doubt from the UConn coaching staff whether that guy was going to be a target of theirs in the transfer portal market this offseason, that game absolutely cemented it. He was top 20 in the country in tackles per game at over 9 per contest. This is just a guy that, when you think about Jackson Mitchell and then Tui Famwina-Brown and then Jaden McDonald over the last 2 years, there are 100-plus tackles this season that are going to be up for grabs. And actually, without Famwina-Brown and McDonald, you're actually talking 216 tackles between them that need to be made up. I don't think Tyquan King needs to get all 200 of them, but he's going to be a triple-digit tackle guy this year.
He's going to get half.
He's going to get half of them. That is my guy to watch. Homegrown kid once again. I think we might see a couple of King jerseys pop up in those tailgates like you were talking about before this season's over.
Man.
Well, we're going to get a lot more from Adam. He does the sidelines for the UConn football program here on the UConn Sports Network. And so for people who are just like, well, why is Adam doing that? Because that's what Adam does. What, the last 7-8 years, Adam?
Entering year number 8.
Damn.
Woo!
Mora and Etzel. Think about that.
That's right.
lasted longer than both coaches. Man, I would already had Taekwon King penciled in, thinking you were leaving him out, because how dare you, sir? How dare you leave Skylar Bell off this list? I tell you all the time when you're down on the sideline, I need more Skylar Bell in my diet.
yeah.
Every second quarter, I text that to you, because that guy is electric. I love your list. I love Taekwon King. I'm glad you brought him up. I don't know, man. Fagnano's got to show me something.
I know.
I need Fagnano to show me something. Kurt always says this: what would you do in the first play? Just let it go, bro. First play, I don't care. Just loosen up this D. Let them see how far you can throw it. Make it be incomplete. Throw it out of bounds. Just fool me for a little while on his passing. But hopefully, like Dib said, he gets some offensive line help. He has a lot of time to pick people apart. I just feel Skylar Bell's got to be in there, man. You know
we know what he got.
I know, but he's so much fun to watch. You don't know. You could give him a little pass on the sideline. He's got 3 people in his face. And then, boom, breaks all those tackles. He's got a touchdown. I didn't think he was going to do that. That guy is like 5'7", 5'6". He might be 4'7", still making plays in the air, out jumping everybody. He is so electric to watch. And who's going to return punts? Not TJ Sheffield's gone. Like, that dude was dynamite. He caught all the balls. Who you going to put there? You going to put your man Shamar Porter? You going to put Skylar Bell? You got to get more Skylar Bell touches. I need more Skylar Bell in my diet, Giardino.